Ladies and gentlemen.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Just keep it simple.
I'm making the promo.
Just keep it simple. Just say, hey, we're the Brav Bros. Two guys that talk about Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're the Brav Bros.
No.
Oh.
Dude, stop with the voice. Just keep it simple.
I've seen promos on TV, dude. This is how you get the fans engaged. This is how you get listeners. We're trying to get listeners here. If we just say, oh, we're two dudes that talk about Bravo, people are going to get tired of it already. We need some oomph.
All right, then fine. Let's try to do it with your voice.
Brav Bros.
Good job.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's hang out. Let's hang out. And let's talk about what legends have found. Let's hang out. And let's listen to two lesbians shout. Let's hang out. Let's hang out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Lez Hang Out, the podcast that's taking you out to the ball game. The ball gay. The ball gay. The ball game. The gay game. From the West Coast, I'm Leo's Foster.
From the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida. To those of you who've been with us through this whole journey, thank you as always for listening. If you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. Here's what's happening this week.
This week in the Lesdom.
This week in the Lesdom is a place where we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. As always, in season 7, we are releasing more Patreon bonus episodes. You can get those at bit.ly/lespatreon. Our newest episode is all about Tell It to the Bees, which we got a special request for, and so we dove right in to talk about it, and you can listen to that now at bit.ly/lespatreon.
We also want to remind you that all of the episodes of our new musical, Journey to the Heart, are available anywhere you listen to podcasts, and next week, we are going to be releasing the episodes with the alternate path through the story. So we're going to take all the votes from the first release, we're going to flip all the choices and release that as sort of an alternate route that you can take through the story. So if you haven't listened yet, you could catch up now, or you can join us for your very first listen through with the new option of all those different choices. So you can find it anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Journey to the Heart.
In the Greater Lez universe, the Am I OK trailer just came out. It's a new rom-com about Dakota Johnson being a later in life baby gay lesbian. So all of those things sound great. Dakota Johnson, Tig Notaro, we are here for it, and we love a good lesbian rom-com, so can't wait to see it.
Also, listen, I know that there are some crazy Hacks fans out there, big Hacks fans, and I know from those Hacks fans that Christina Hendricks has like a hot and steamy makeout sesh with Hannah Einbinder, who plays Ava in the show.
All right. Here for that.
Ellie's like, I'm starting
Viciously
it right now.
looking.
Okay. So listen, I just, I have not watched the show yet. I've had a lot of people tell me that it's very funny and I would like it a lot. It's on my list. But if you are super into it, we want to know what your thoughts are on that whole scene, because I've seen the GIFs and the clips numerous times. Because y'all are feral out there, and we love that for you, honestly. So, what are your thoughts?
Keep being feral. Also, speaking of hot lesbian kisses, in Under the Bridge, which is a new TV show from Reese Witherspoon's production company, Lily Gladstone, who was nominated for an Oscar for Killers of the Flower Moon, plays a lesbian cop in it. Also, Riley Keough, who I'm obsessed with from her Daisy Jones days. Like, I have to say, it's a good pairing. So, and it's an interesting show. Once we sign off here, I'm about to watch the next episode with my girlfriend. So
Great.
it's a great,
can't go wrong.
Great show. And we got some nuanced lesbian content, I will say.
We also want to make sure everyone gets ready because we are closing in on the end of season 7. So you have, about another month or so. We'll be running through early July. As you know, we're going to take another little hiatus over the summer. We're going to have some episodes of some other queer or queer adjacent podcasts that we think everyone's going to enjoy through the summer so that you still have something to listen to. Don't worry. But we're going to be gearing up for season 8 coming at you before you even know it. So just so everyone's ready, we don't like to spring it on anyone. That's all.
Life hits you hard and fast. That's what's happening this week. Back to you, Ellie and Lee.
Thanks, Ellie and Lee, and welcome everyone to episode 20 of season 7. I feel like every time we get up in the 20s, I know that means we're like rounding out.
Rounding those bases.
Another season.
About to hit a season 7 home run.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And episode 20 means it is our next installment of Lez-ssentials.
Lez-ssentials is a recurring segment on the show where we dive into classic lesbian movies or TV shows.
And don't forget, we are writing and recording original songs for every Lez-ssentials that we do. You will want to stick around to the very end of today's episode for our hit song, the bop inspired by A League of Their Own. It's called Baseball Diamonds, parentheses, our girl's best friend.
What a slay of a title, Lee. You've outdone yourself with this one.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. And for this Lez-ssentials, in case you didn't know, we are talking about the 2022 Amazon Prime series, A League of Their Own.
A League of Their Own, created by Will Graham and Abby Jacobson. It stars basically everyone on Earth. It stars Abby Jacobson. It stars D'Arcy Carden. It stars Shantae Adams. It stars Melanie Field. It stars, I don't know. Everyone's in this. They're all great.
Rosie O'Donnell.
Rosie O'Donnell, yeah. Just everyone. Everyone's great. We love them. And we miss them. I feel like maybe right off the top we should say quick.
The
everyone
unspoken.
Knows. Well, I mean,
say the unspoken,
just
depressing
get it off our
shit.
chest,
Yes.
right? Like everyone knows we try for series, for TV shows. We don't do a Lez-ssentials on them until they're
Done.
finished.
And we can't even say that because it's so messed up that A League of Their Own, an absolutely perfectly made series, did not get a season 2.
I feel like I should have brought like a lighter.
Yes. And we'll talk about it. On my second rewatch, I'm even more pissed off. So let's go.
Okay. For anyone who's not familiar, I'm going to read the IMDb synopsis, although I feel like I should preface this one with
it's garbage.
Possibly
it's
the
garbage.
saddest one we've ever had. The IMDb synopsis, I swear to God, for A League of Their Own is as follows. Comedy series about the World War II All-American Professional Women's Baseball League.
Wow. Really tells me
That's
everything. Tells you everything.
That's how I'm going to pitch the show to people now. You know?
Oh, yeah, it's just a comedy series about
you meet someone, make a new friend, and you're like, oh my God, have you seen A League of Their Own? And they're like, no, what is it? And you're like, oh my God, comedy series about the World War II All-American Professional Women's Baseball League.
Wow. That sounds so interesting. I'd love to watch it.
Don't you want to?
Mm-hmm. I'm in.
It really piques your curiosity, huh?
Mm-hmm. What is this TV series about?
This is the gayest fucking show ever, and it was beautiful and glorious, and I loved it, and everyone in it was delightful and gay, and it should have had 800 seasons, and I will never get over the cancellation of it, because why? Amazon, why do you hate the gays?
Seriously, I agree. Also, maybe we could do it'll be very difficult to do a quick rundown of the show, Lee.
Okay.
But maybe here, let me try. You always try to do it. I can do it. Let me do it.
I believe in you. Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna time you and compare you to
here we go.
my running total, which is like I take 3 hours for every movie we do. So
okay, here we go. I'm gonna say there are 2 parallel running storylines in A League of Their Own. I'm gonna start with the first, which is bored housewife Carson Shaw auditions for the All-American Professional.
Bored? Did you go with bored?
Bored. Yes. Epically bored.
She's bored of heterosexuality.
Yeah, warm buttered bread housewife.
Yes, correct.
Bored as hell in her
I
little...
mean, she's married to a piece of toast, so
Yes.
that makes sense.
In her little farm town, quote unquote, which is not actually a farm. Auditions. I'm a musical theater girl. Tries out for the All-American Professional Women's Baseball League and gets onto the Rockford Peaches with her new exciting love, D'Arcy Carden, also known as Greta, and a bunch of absolutely gay teammates.
Oh my God.
We got Slugger Joe. We got the Spanish striker, who's the pitcher.
Yep.
We got McCready, gay bitch. We got Shirley, who is her completely...
No, gay bitch. Still gay bitch. I don't care.
Awkward
Listen.
roommate. We got Maybelle, who is a bisexual icon. We've got Bev, the house mother, who also is a queer icon. And we follow their story as they are going from the underdogs in the league all the way to the league championship, where, spoiler alert, they do not win, but they put it all out on the line.
But you'll cry. You'll cry anyways.
Exactly. They put it all out on the line. They rob the bank, and they get everything they could out of this gay baseball experience. That's my short synopsis. How'd I do?
Well, you sort of forgot Max and Clance.
No,
like,
that's
completely.
No, I'm saying that's my first part of it.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm
Okay,
gonna go
fine.
Max and Clance.
Okay, then I'm just gonna say this is SD erasure. How dare you?
Oh my god, sorry. SD's also...
How dare you? How dare you not name every single person on the team?
SD's also
Ellie?
there. I did my best. I did that all from memory. All right, I was not
That
even
was
looking
really
at an IMDb. Okay?
I am, and that's how I know you missed SD.
I'm so sorry, SD. Okay. Running parallel with Max, who is a Black woman baseball player, also works at her mother's salon, right?
Mhm.
And her best friend, Clance, who loves comic books, is married to Guy, sweetest man alive, Clance and Guy forever, right? And we see their parallel queer journeys as Max discovers her queer self in a Black queer space with her Uncle Bert.
Yes, Uncle Bertie.
With her Uncle Bertie, and those queer storylines run parallel throughout the whole film. And Max's journey is from not being allowed to audition, not being allowed to try out.
You can't be stopped.
I can't.
I'm just picturing them showing up on the baseball field with like sheet music in hand. Like,
Yeah. Not being able to try out for the All-American Professional Women's Baseball League because of segregation and racism, and all the way to being able to play with a Black team as one of the two women on the team with her girlfriend Esther, where the two women on the team have to share a bed. Oh, crazy. So we see Max basically come into her own, chop off all her hair, live her best gay life, and learn from her trans uncle Bert
wear most of a suit.
about chosen family and how to live authentically as a queer person in a time where it's not safe to be queer. Those are the two parallel... Or Black. Exactly. So those are the two parallels we have running through this story. And they sometimes meet and drink beers and play catch and chat about their lives. But I would say those are like the two protagonists that we're following throughout our story. How do you feel about that, Lee?
I think you did great.
And now we can talk specifics. I'm not trying to erase anything in between. But
Yeah, no, that's it. The episode's done.
there's a lot of specifics that are great. So I don't know where we want to start. Let's start from the beginning. Do you want to just talk about like all the gay shit that happens in this? Or do we want to go like relationship by relationship? Or person to person?
Oh, God.
Because it's like the relationship between Carson and Greta is obviously very important.
Yeah,
But I feel like it's also just Carson's queer exploration told through her love story with Greta.
Let's start. Here's how I want to start. If
Mhm.
we were going to name, like, what if we each pick, like, 3 or 4 of, like, the main relationships that are important to you in the show? What would you say yours are?
Okay, well, Greta and Carson,
Sure.
Clance and Max, and I would say, this is so hard. There's so many. Joe and Greta.
Then I will add as my list, I'm going to add Max and Carson. I'm going to put Max and Bertie and Lupe and Jess as like relationships that I think all cover different things that like we should talk about.
Yes. And
Because
and I do
they're
think
all
that's
those are all
yes.
such different
well,
relationships.
and
right?
overarchingly, this is what was the shit about A League of Their Own, right? We have never, besides the L Word,
Yeah.
we have never gotten a show that explores so many different queer dynamics in relationships, which I think is actually
Yes.
why it is good to just talk about the relationships
Yes.
between the characters, because it is like, okay, you have the only person on this list that we've written down that's not queer is Clance,
Yes.
and is important because straight ally Clance give it to me, right? And I love Clance and Max's friendship.
But let's go through just and categorize the types of relationships that we put down, because we only named 6. We named 6 relationships. And I'm going to say we have like romantic relationship.
Mhm.
We have queer person with a straight best friend
Yep.
relationship. We have queer besties, one of whom is like very butch, one of whom is very femme.
Mm-hmm.
We have like 2 baby gays on their path to self-discovery
Mhm.
who are on very opposite like places in the society that they live in,
Mhm.
right? We have queer elder relationship, and then we have like 2 masc besties, right? Like I'm just like, this is already even just listing them out and like just spanning just that brief overview of just like, look at all of the different parts of queer life that are already covered, and that's just that's like a tiny
That's
little
a small
subsampling,
sample.
right? That's like a
Exactly.
tiny little subsampling of just like, here are the top types of relationships that we want to talk about. Because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think when the show came out, and obviously like the show came out, it was, you know, like based on the movie that came out 30 years earlier, you know. And so many people were just like, oh my god, they just had to make like everyone gay. Like everyone in this was gay. And you're like, actually, this show had exactly the correct amount of gay people, right? Which is most of them.
Yes, which is everyone. But also for the freaking it's real.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I mean. I don't mean for me personally, although that is also correct. I mean,
Yes.
like, this had the right amount of queer people in it,
Yes.
right? And it just it is hard to explain like how infrequently we get to just really see so many parts of our lives, our connections, our relationships, like not just explored, but like explored so intentionally and so with such a focus, you know,
Mhm.
in like using the relationships to tell a story, to progress a story, to be the story, you know, like the whole story, like the whole underpinning of this show is the relationships all of these people have and
Mhm.
form. And it's just it's like anyways.
I know.
Anyways,
It's so
it's
good.
fine. So let's start at the
yeah.
top. Let's dive in. You want to start with Greta and Carson?
Yeah, let's start with Greta and Carson because it's the, you know, it's the glue with which we talk about most Lez-ssentials is like the main
Fucking D'Arcy Carden, man.
romantic relationship.
Jesus.
D'Arcy Carden fucking eats as Greta.
Yeah.
Like D'Arcy Carden. Oh my god. So, okay. Wait, did we talk about our experience with this
No.
Okay. So
Tell me about it. Tell me about your experience.
So
Ellie.
when I first watched A League of Their Own, it was probably pretty recently after it came out because everyone was talking about it and I knew this was going to be like a #1 a big thing for the podcast because it's like so gay, right? But also just a big thing for me. I'm like, I want to fucking watch the show, right? So I started watching it at, I don't know, I think it was actually after we recorded Lez Hang Out. So I think I started watching it at 10 p.m. and I didn't go to sleep. I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
So wait, no, that can't be right. How many hours is this show? It's like a 10-hour series. It's an 8-hour series, right?
Yeah, something like
10,
that.
11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Honestly, I think I went to bed at like 5, so I might have watched like 6 episodes. So I started watching it and I was like, wait, I did not understand. Like, you could not have prepared me for how gay this show was.
No.
Like,
No. I
I
don't think any of us were ready.
because it just gave us more than we ever get, right? So you're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, we're gonna get this like really cute queer relationship between the two main leads, which we're gonna talk about. But yeah, I just was like blown. My mind was blown that we had such a depth of queer experience. But also, I was like, I have never looked at D'Arcy Carden like this, and I'm like, all right, D'Arcy, because
Yeah.
I feel like right
Yeah.
for most people, D'Arcy Carden has been a comedic actress for a long time. Like, she's been in a lot of different things, and like I mostly look at her as Janet
Yeah.
from The Good Place.
Well, and she was right. She was coming off of a role that was so
Asexual.
asexual, right? And then she fucking turns around in that lipstick, in that smirk, in that the hair, the just like
And the attitude, like she is the
it
most
was just a lot. It was a lot for all of us. Okay,
she's
we were
so
all having a moment.
she's so flirtatious, like with everyone around her, right? Like it's like particularly with Carson, obviously, because that's the person that she's pursuing in a way, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, tell me your experience, and then I want to dive into the first episode between the two of them because holy shit.
Holy shit. I do not have the opportunity to like binge a lot of shows. So ours was a little bit more gradual, but same thing. I mean, I knew that I couldn't really wait to watch this. So it was, it came out, we watched episodes like pretty rapidly in succession. And it was just like, I think I still can't quite believe that it exists. Do you know what I mean? It's like when I think about it, I'm just like, that's like a fan fiction I read, right? Like where everyone's
it's a fantasy.
gay, and
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah,
but like it's not.
like,
that's the thing. Like it's not a fantasy. Like it is.
No,
it is rooted in historical realism, right? Like
Yeah.
that is I think also what makes it so amazing is like we talk about period pieces, right? Like I feel like it did a period piece in a way where they still stay true to the fact that it is not safe to be queer in those time periods. But there were queer people who existed and who figured out how to live their lives authentically because it was not possible for them to live any other way. It was miserable
Yeah.
for them to live any other way. Right? And so I'm just like it doesn't like stray away from the fact that life was hard for these people.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like you can see from a queer perspective as a queer person watching, you're like, yes, I can relate because if I was Carson in that time period, I'm so fucking gay. I would be screwed. And then I would have to try to figure out what
Greta turns around and we're all like, oh no.
Yeah, right? Like if
Oh,
I
no.
was in the All-American Women's Baseball League, I would have been going to that speakeasy gay bar too.
Yeah.
Right? So you see yourself in these characters who exist in a different time and a different place, but they're so us.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful.
It's really something. It's really something. I feel like it's not like there are not other movies or shows or like things in the past few years that I've like super enjoyed. Like, you watch them and you're like, yeah, oh my God. I don't think there is any other show that like fills my little gay heart in quite so many different ways. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
because that's the thing is I'm like, there are plenty of other shows and there are other things that you can like, other ships and other whatever, but it's like there's just the number of different ways and like different things where I'm like, yeah, there we are. When I watch A League of Their Own, there's just nothing. There's nothing else that comes close. How could it?
It
Like,
can't.
how could it?
It's epic. It's an epic gay ensemble.
So good.
Like it's epic.
It's so good.
But yeah,
It's
so
good.
let's okay,
Anyways,
so
we're
let's-
fine. We're gonna
we're
be
fine.
totally normal this whole episode, and we're doing great. Okay.
I mean, honestly,
So Greta and
anyone
Carson.
listening to this episode probably feels very similar to
Yeah.
us. So, okay. So Greta and Carson, right? The second, because I also the other part of my experience is I tried to rewatch as much of this as I could today before the episode, and I got through about 6
How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling very gayed out, but but I got through about like 6 episodes. So I did like
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 6, and 8 because I
Great.
was I wanted to watch the gay bar episode. I wanted to watch the finale. I
Yeah.
wanted to sort of like remember the beginning. And I did miss out on episode 4, which is where Greta and Carson have sex for the first time. So
Oh, how could you skip that?
I know, but
With their little crucifix watching
I know.
down from
But
above.
what I love about this show and their relationship is it's like not really a slow burn.
No.
Like it's like she sees her on the street with Joe, and it's like one of the most epic meet cutes I think like in the world, just because of how D'Arcy Carden plays it.
Yeah.
Because it's like they don't really say that much to each other, but it's like the eyes, it's like the smirk, it's the you can come with us, and Joe's like,
Yeah.
don't follow us, right? And it's the way
But it's
that
also there's just something about, like, again, we all know what it's like when you're out somewhere. Like, I mean, we've talked about this, Ellie, right? Where it's like sometimes when you meet someone and you're just like, oh, honey, like you don't even know this about yourself yet, do you? Right? And it's like the ease with which Greta just so immediately clocks Carson and also is so immediately into it, and just like, but you can just, it's just like a cat with a mouse, just like a little baby gay mouse, who's just about to get devoured.
She really knows. And too, it's like you watch them through the I'm sorry, I'm just gonna keep saying auditions, people. Just drinking game every time Ellie says auditions for tryouts. I'm
They're
sorry.
baseball auditions.
At the auditions. It's like she also sees, she's like, okay, this girl, like the first time you meet her, she looks like she's a little bit of a mess. She's like, first glance, she's like middle of nowhere kind of girl. And then she sees her play baseball and she's like, all right, girl can really play. Like she's got something going, right? So there's like all these wheels spinning.
You just know she's watching her bat and she's like, strong arms, eh? Good. I can work with that.
And then they both get onto the same team, right? So it's like, of course they're on the same team. Yay.
Gives her a gay fucking haircut and then like pushes her up against a wall and like sucks her face off.
When she cuts her hair. And you know what she says after she kisses her? You don't?
What? No, remind me.
She says, I thought so. What the fuck? Literally.
I'm screaming. I'm screaming, but like in a reserved way. I'm just screaming into my hands,
Yes, she pushes her up against the wall. She kisses her. Then Carson backs away, the classic. And then she waits. And then Carson goes for it. So you see there's a mutual thing going on here. It's not the predatory lesbian kind of thing, even though there's a little bit of a push. And when she kisses her, Greta literally says, I thought so, and leaves.
It's so brutal.
It's
brutal.
Incredible that she literally was like, okay, just wanted to test that theory. Thanks.
Which, to be honest, is like such a Greta move, though.
I know.
Right?
I know. So then she leaves, and then Greta leaves with a man. And Carson's like, what the fuck? You just made out with me, turned my whole world upside down, and then you're going to leave with this random man.
Carson really goes through it that night. She really does.
She really does. And
I just can't. The getting to watch, because we talk about this all the time, right? That we're like, oh my god, we're so over coming out stories. And let's be real. No, we're fucking not.
Well, yeah,
no, we're not.
A specific kind, yeah.
Well, a specific kind, but also what we're over is when it's like all you get is a coming out story, right? Like if this whole show had just had Greta and Carson, and you're watching, Carson sort of like realize, oh my god, I'm into women. Like I feel like that wouldn't have done it for me. But when you get to have Carson and around Carson, just this little queer like constellation of gays all surrounding her from all different walks and of all different personalities and types and identities, and how, where they're at in their own little gay journey. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll take the coming out story in the mix of everything else. Like you're watching, it's not just a coming out story, it's a being welcomed into queer community story. And I'm like, that's so fucking dope. Like that is such cool shit to get to see, because you don't, like, that's what we're constantly saying we're missing, is we're always like, why are you gonna make like, oh my god, here's our next queer, like big queer film, and there's like 2 gay people in it and they're dating each other and one of them's coming out and that's it, and the only person who's there to talk to is like the girl that they're into, And we're like, where is the community? Where are all the other gay people? Like, where, meh, where are they? And like here, you're like, they're everywhere. Everywhere you turn, there's another gay person to help teach you something, welcome you, like guide you along this path, like help you in your identity, talk through things, be a sounding board. Like,
I know.
it just never
It's
ends.
beautiful. Well, because speaking of people, so Max sees them kiss. So like the first
Yes.
queer community she gets, even though she doesn't quite know it, because she's like scared and she's like, this person just saw us kiss, and like I don't know if she's a safe person to be confiding in. And we find out Max has been sleeping with women since she's 17 years old, so we're all good there.
Love that for her.
But also, like, fast forwarding a bunch, but like I still want to talk a little bit about more stuff, but the community piece of it, that is what I love about this relationship, is like the first time that Carson goes to the gay bar, Greta's not there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was so impactful to have her go to the gay bar and come out to Lupe and Jess outside of who
Yeah.
she's sleeping with. Right? Like, so even though it is like because of Greta,
Right.
it's like very much about Carson and not like, oh, I'm in love with Greta.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I'm in a gay bar and like I want to be in this gay bar. I want to be in this gay bar. Not, yes, with my partner.
Yeah.
And like she asked her to come later, but like it's like you see Carson experiencing the gay bar for herself.
I love that, Ellie, because I feel like it's a thing that we see happen a lot, and because it's such a common narrative too, right? Where it's like, oh, like you see this all the time in movies where you have like, oh, the parents who don't accept it, right? And they're like, oh, like this girl like turned my daughter gay and like she's corrupted your mind and all this stuff. And it's like, right, like being gay is never about one person.
Mm-hmm.
It is never about the one person, even if there's like one person who sort of like bing, like sets that little light bulb off in your head,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's never about that person. You're not
Yes.
gay because of them. You're not gay just for them. It's not only about them. It's about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's about you, you know?
Mhm.
And so it's like, you're so right. Like getting to see Carson go and see where she fits
Mm-hmm.
in this queer world that she didn't even know about, you know, and being like, oh wow, like not only is this me, but like there's a place for me. Like
Mhm.
there's a place for all of us. Here we all are. And like her little face walking into that gay bar
When
and
they
looking around.
literally say look around and she's
Ugh.
like she's looking at these two soldiers kissing, she's looking at these two women
Yes.
kissing, she's looking at like I
Rosie
guess
O'Donnell.
yeah, like but like some sort of like non-binary person who like
Yeah.
is dressed in like both male and female presenting like kind of garb, like yeah, Rosie O'Donnell and her wife, and she's like, wait, you can have a wife and like
Oh
you
my
can have this
God. I just
how, and I
it's-
wrote it down, no, this, because she literally says, how is this even possible?
Yeah.
And you can just see like her eyes completely light up where she's like, this is an option.
You could just clip that scene and like just add a little title card at the end and it's an It Gets Better ad,
Mhm,
right? Like
mhm.
it's just you're just watching someone have that realization. I can't, Ellie. I can't do this.
I know, it's so beautiful. But let's rewind a little bit. So we have the makeout. Then
we're taking this long on one of the 6 relationships that we wrote down.
All
We're
right,
gonna be here
sorry.
for 4 hours.
Sorry, but this is a big one.
We have a problem. We're gonna have a problem. I'm
It's
so
okay.
sorry, everyone. Join us next week for part 2.
Oh my gosh. But this is the big one. And I do think there's so much to dig into, particularly like the Greta Carson dynamic, because Carson's a new baby gay. And so we get like Carson trying to fight against it and being like, I'm not like you, right? And you also
Mhm.
get Greta, who's been out for a while, had another,
but has this whole system, you
right?
know?
Has all these rules to keep her and Joe safe, right? And I think that's important that they share that, right? Because she was with another person before, Dana, who like she got sent away because they got caught together, and she's like never gonna let herself fall in love with another person like that, right? So we have like episode 1 through 3 is really like this back and forth of like them both being like, oh well, let's just be friends. Also classic lesbian shit, and Joe being like, you're not friends, you little idiot.
Yeah.
You know? And I really
Yeah.
like this line. Okay, let's just dive into this on a lesbian context because Greta says it twice. Friends can mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
What do you think
Yeah.
that? Just if you're going to do a literary analysis on friends can mean a lot of things in the queer community.
Okay, should we just do a whole separate episode on that? Is that we're just like segueing now into that? Because I mean, it's such again, it's the type of statement that is just like it's so hard to say anything concise about like all the layers that are in that one
Right?
sentence.
That's why I love
There's
that they said
so
it
many
twice.
things in that one sentence. And there's so many things that exist in the queer community that I just don't think exist in the straight world. You
Mhm.
know? Like I sometimes, I mean, it listen, I know that we talk a lot about how like you and I love being queer so fucking
Mhm.
much to the point that it's like I do genuinely like feel sorry for straight people sometimes
I
where I'm just
know.
like I'm
I'm
sad
so
for
sorry,
you.
all of you. I'm so
I'm
sorry.
so sorry. But I also feel like there are so many ways in which sometimes you look at the just chaotic diversity that is possible in the queer world and in queer relationships that just I feel like straight people don't get to have quite as much.
Mhm. Well, it's the
You
same way
know?
that like okay, like I feel like she's saying friends can mean a lot of different things to be like we can be friends who sleep together and that's okay. But I also think there's like that other layer of like her and Joe are friends and like
Mhm.
she kisses Joe on the mouth.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's like a very like the lines of intimacy are blurred.
Yes.
And that's nice and refreshing to be able to
Yes.
have like intimate friendships with other people that are not
and
just,
it's also just clearly getting at the like, you know, how much the queer community has all sort of interhooked up with each other and like just
there's so many layers. That's why I wrote that down because I was like, wait, that line is epic. Like that line is so epic. Okay, so she says that and then she tries to kiss her again. She's like, no, I can't. Then there's this whole scene where they're in the bathroom together.
Mhm.
And she's like, you know, I don't think I've ever met anyone like you. Right? And there's like a callback to that later, which like fucking wrecked me. I literally, my heart broke. But, and she's like, oh, I never met anyone like you too, blah, blah, blah. Then she's like, you know what? Oh, this is when she goes on a date with a man. So Greta decides to go on a date with this man to basically make Carson jealous because Carson was like, I'm normal. And Greta's like, oh, I can be normal. I can pretend to be normal. And she's like flirting with this man across the table. And she says, I've never met anyone like you to that man to like stick a dagger.
She's so cold, man.
It's rough.
Ice cold.
Then Carson goes to the bathroom. Greta goes to the bathroom. And we love a lesbian bathroom scene. Like how much shit has happened in a bathroom. I very recently rewatched the first episode of The L Word because one of my friends is just recently coming out and I'm like, it's time to watch The L Word. And that marina bathroom scene still hits. Still hits. But they have a bathroom scene. She's like, I have feelings for you, but like I can't act on them. And then she's like, fuck it. She comes into the room, right? And she tells Greta, I have a rash I need you to check out. And then she's like, oh, Greta's like, oh, yes, I understand what a rash means. And they both leave, go outside into the shed, and they make out. And that's it.
It's so good, too. That scene's so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
I just, you know what I love is, like, I love watching, I mean, first of all, listen, we all know you and I have a soft spot for gay idiots, right? And there's just something so good about watching these two fucking gay idiots where it's, like, both trying to pretend that they're going to deny themselves of this, you know? Like, there's just, it's so satisfying. It's so great. It's so great. I can't do it. I can't do this, Ellie. I can't.
I know. Okay, then episode 4 I did not rewatch today, but I think what happens in episode 4 is they go on the road.
Yes, they go on the road. Are you seriously going to take us episode by episode through this relationship? We're honestly going to be here for 4 hours.
No, we're so close. They're making out. They have sex. Okay, so what do you think?
We're so close. Hold on. We are 40 minutes into this episode.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, so they have sex under the cross. Okay, we'll keep going. All right.
Ellie's like, so they fuck. The end. Okay, bye.
That's it. We already sort of talked about the gay bar between the two of them. They go on a
Yes.
pizza date. Super cute. They go to the gay bar
pizza
together.
date is so cute.
Mhm.
Stop! I want to talk about all of it.
I
How
know.
dare you?
Yeah, you told me to speed it up.
I can't. Now you keep bringing up other stuff I want to talk about. I hate it.
I know.
Ellie and I are starting a new League of Their Own rewatch podcast. Join us next season.
Honestly, we should. It would be a short podcast because there's only 8 episodes, so fuck
Yes.
everyone. That sucks. But they have sex. They go to the gay bar in episode 6, and that really freaks Greta out because this is reminding her that they actually are not safe because they get attacked, right? The cops
Yeah.
come. Joe gets fucked up. I don't know what happened in episode 7 because I didn't watch it either.
Episode 7 is Joe got arrested after the gay bar, and Charlie comes home.
Okay, so when Charlie comes home too, we didn't even talk about the letter.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying, Ellie. Like I can't. There's too much. There's too many things. You can't do. We can't do this much detail. Everyone's watching us try to figure out this episode in real time, and it's great. It's going so well, everyone. We're doing such a
But
good
we
job.
can do this much detail. People want us to dive in. Okay, so Charlie, there's a part where she literally says, like when Max asks her about Charlie, and I feel like this is like so important for like the queer representation in here because it's like Max and Carson are also sort of talking, I think, like slightly about being bisexual, I believe. But they're also like, but women.
Yeah, but women.
Right? Because
Which is so valid,
because
honestly.
Carson's like, Charlie's not bad. He's sweet. He's
such
kind,
a good beard, you know?
right? Like he's like a warm buttered bread, but not toast. Right?
Yeah.
And Greta's like pizza. Right? And it's like how's a warm buttered piece of bread going to compete with pizza?
I mean, and it's so sad too because you're also watching someone sort of like pre the awareness of comp het, where I'm like, he's only buttered bread because you've been told that he should be your whole life, you know? And like, I feel like there's something that I think is so important to call out in the idea of like, for a lot of queer people at that time, like that was the best you could hope for, you know, is like a kind, inoffensive man that you can tolerate.
And she says too, like she's like, sometimes I wish I never knew what it felt like to be with Greta.
Yes. Yeah.
Because like being with Charlie was easy enough.
Yeah.
But it's like so depressing to be like,
so depressing.
She was just gonna settle for like, but she wasn't gonna settle because even before she met Greta, she was ready to write that letter. That was like, there's something wrong with me. I don't love you. Like she knew she was not into Charlie before she met Greta.
Yeah.
And then she met Greta and she was like, ding, 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 ding.
Because what was wrong with her is not, it has nothing, I mean, it doesn't have nothing, but it's not just about Greta. It's not about Greta. It's about Carson. It's about Carson having that realization, that self-realization of realizing like, why don't I want this? Why isn't this what I want when everyone's telling me this is what I should want? And I know I don't, and I'm trying so hard to. And if I was gonna want anyone, it should be this nice guy, you know? And I still
she doesn't.
don't. How can I not? Like,
exactly. She's like, something has to be
because
wrong
you
with
gay,
me.
bitch.
And but like to be
'Cause
fair,
you
like
gay.
how like that's not a only then time. Like I felt like that personally. I was like,
Yes.
something must be wrong with me. There's these like really sweet, cute, nice boys who are kind to me, and I feel nothing. What is wrong with me, right?
Yep.
And then you're like, okay, here's what's right with me. You're gay.
It's women.
You're gay. But yeah, so like I think it's super relatable. And then okay, we'll just skip to the end. Greta's like, move with me to New York. And Carson's like, I can't, but you changed my life. And like, see you next season, which is just like the most devastating line you could ever put at the end of a series that got canceled.
I want to die. Okay, anyways, I'm fine.
And Charlie sees her. Okay, before we go into the next relationship, I know this is a very depressing question to ask, knowing we don't have a season 2. But what did you think was going to happen with Greta and Carson since Charlie saw Carson and Greta make out?
My guess, like what I was expecting in season 2 is I was expecting I was expecting another season of Gay Idiots, right? Where I was expecting that we were going to have like Carson trying to convince Charlie that like, no, it was all a mistake, like recommitting, right? Like I can be the good, dutiful wife. That what you saw wasn't me, right? And I expected Greta to go off and to have expected that of Carson, and therefore to recommit to like, I don't need Carson, like I can date around. I was expecting Greta to come back being like, oh, I'm seeing this person, oh, I've dated that person, like, oh, I'm seeing a new girl tonight, and doing that in this sort of like very hurt, resentful, vindictive way as Carson just tries to be like, and I'm a great wife, straight wife, very straight with my straight husband, whom I love. I am his wife. As they both, like, clearly are just sinking into small pits of despair without each other. That was my expectation for season 2, and we deserved it.
And we'll never freaking know. Rough. All right,
Rough.
but I still
Okay.
like the ending because it is like the hot makeout is like, see you next year. Like we're coming
I'll
back.
give them their chemistry, man. I don't hate them for it. It's fine. It's fine. Let's take a quick break. We're gonna gather ourselves. We're gonna come back and talk about all of these other relationships in like record-breaking time. Okay?
Sounds great.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart-Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast, Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's only one story. The Only One in the Room has a wide variety of guests, from prisoners to abuse survivors to swingers. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee that Only One in the Room will have a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone.
At Radiolab, we love nothing more than nerding out about science, neuroscience, chemistry.
But we do also like to get into other kinds of stories. Stories about policing or
politics,
country music,
hockey,
sex, of bugs.
Regardless of whether we're looking at science or not science, we bring a rigorous curiosity to get you the answers.
And hopefully make you see the world anew.
Radiolab, adventures on the edge of what we think we know.
Wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, well, who do you want to start with?
Oh God. Okay. We want Max and someone. There are
I
so
think
many
we
Max
should talk Max and
choices.
Bertie, because I think Max and Bertie is one of the most important relationships.
Okay. Let's do it. I mean, we talked a little. Plus, we can be a little briefer on this because we did talk a lot about Max and Bertie when we had Lee on. Obviously, if you haven't listened to that episode, you can look up our when was that, season 5?
Yes, 2022.
Okay. Yes, you can look up our episode where we had the actor who plays Uncle Bertie on and had a really great conversation about a lot of topics. But I do think we should talk about some things again because it's so important. And oh my God, like you cannot overstate the importance of having not just like queer, Black, stories like of this era, but queer Black stories like this, where you're like,
Mhm.
here is an established, confident, comfortable, like successful, happy, queer Black trans
It is,
person. Like,
I think, I mean, this is like the gigantic thing that they did. Like, I mean, besides the fact that everything's queer, right? The huge difference between the movie and the series is that they also actively chose to showcase Black life in that time as well. Whereas, like,
yes,
in
the
the
movie did
the
not.
movie is super, super white, and like it was 30 years ago. Like, it was what it was, but it's not also like accurate. It doesn't give a full accurate depiction of people in that time. So
Yeah.
I do feel like it is super important. And like you said, this is a queer elder who left home, and like you hear about him in a way that's like excommunicated. Like, so to see when you see him, he has a partner who loves him very much. He's like a beacon of the community, right?
Yeah.
So that gay bar scene juxtaposed with the queer house party is, I think, some of the most impactful queer media we've ever seen.
Yeah. It's I
Like,
I
ever.
still sometimes that episode I'm just like, wow. Like,
Mhm.
what an experience to get to have
Mhm.
that episode of TV exist, you know?
And to just
Like,
see, like, to see, like, Max has a parent-ish figure, right? This is someone in her family who's like,
Yeah.
I support you. And also Bertie
I
talks to
support you, I
Tony.
see you,
Yeah, like,
I like see and value and validate who you are, even in the ways in which you are different from me. But
mhm.
I am also here to help and to support you and like and to love you and like and to welcome you into this community and to introduce you to like this group of people that are here
Mhm.
waiting
And
for
who are
you.
thriving, right? Like, I
Yes.
think the point too is like, yes, they're outside of society, but like, who gives a fuck? Because they're happy, right? Like, there's a
Mhm.
whole thing where like Bertie talks to Tony and is like, to us, like, safe isn't safe or something like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so I feel like he was like, I had to leave because there was a line where he was like, you were the most dangerous person to me because you were telling me just like, just minimize some parts of yourself. Like, and he was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I could have easily done that. Same, like, it's a parallel to Carson, right? I could have easily lived a different life,
Yep.
but that's so dangerous
Yeah.
because it's not me, right? And like, so it's like, he's like, I had to leave, and just know that me leaving meant I'm safe. I created
And
safety for myself.
and it's such an important message too, like especially in having Bertie as a character and as this kind of like I want to say like not ambiguously trans in the sense that like possibly not trans, but in the sense of like the identity of his transness is like not ever completely defined, right? Like there's flexibility I think in his life for like who he is and who he gets to be and there's this beautiful like gender fluidity about Bertie that I love, you know? And I think that given that we are in an era right now where you are seeing so much of this attempt to tie down trans people and specifically like trans kids, like young trans people who are like having these realizations, discoveries, like coming out to themselves, like all of this stuff and this attempt and you see so many like parents and all this stuff of being like, but if we just get them the right care, the right therapist, like we can fix this about them and they can be happy the way that they were born and the way that I think they should be. And it's like it is so important to have a character call out exactly how dangerous that is,
Mm-hmm.
and exactly how strong that desire to be accepted and loved by the people that should be accepting and loving you in ways that force you to minimize and change the best parts of yourself, like how easy that pull can be.
Especially when that's a person that you love and care about.
Right,
Right? It's
exactly.
like your
when that is
family.
your
That's
family
yes.
doing that to you. And like, yeah, it's such a small thing in the way that it's like, it feels like such a small statement to make. And I'm like, that sentence that Bertie says, like, again, just it's a sentence that contains
So much.
multitudes. Like, there is
So
so
much.
much in that, because I mean, and I think it's true for all queer people, but I feel like especially in the current climate surrounding trans issues, I'm like, I see things posted like that all the time. And it's so hard to be like, you can't even see how many of these kids are going to shove themselves back in this teeny tiny dark little box to try to make their parents happy and make
Mm-hmm.
their family happy and be accepted and loved by people who will not accept and love them otherwise. And you're like, yeah, of course they're gonna try to do that. Of course they're gonna do the most that they can.
Mm-hmm.
Of course they will, because you're forcing them to. And that's what Bertie's saying. Bertie's like, you would have been that for me. Like, you
Yep.
would have held me back. You would have held me down. You would have, like, shoved me into this tiny hole to live in for the rest of my life. And
Yep.
instead, he didn't. And I'm like, it just, it's like, it's so much. It's
Well, and
so much.
to bring it back to the Bertie Max relationship, because that's a conversation Bertie has with Tony about Max.
Yeah.
To be like, hey, you did this to me. I'm your sibling and I love you. And I know you love your daughter. So, like, here's what you need to do to be a good mother.
Yeah.
Trying to keep her safe is not keeping her safe. All you have to do is let her do what she's going to do.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, also, I think it's super important, the relationship between Bertie and Max, but also the fact that Bertie can help bridge a gap between Tony and Max that we also don't see. That I feel like we don't see that very often either, because
Yeah.
it was very clear, like, they're estranged, but they have that conversation for the sake of Max, right? And so it's like that also on top of it, I feel like adds another layer of, like, Bertie is just, like, looking out for Max in a way that Bertie
yes.
never got looked out for.
Exactly. I like, just knowing Bertie having that conversation is like, no one was there to do this for me,
Mm-hmm.
but I can be there now. And you're just like, I can't.
I know.
I can't.
It's beautiful.
I can't.
And yeah, it's
which
beautiful.
which maybe I can use that to, like, segue us over a little bit to Max and Clance, because
Great.
I feel like there are similar vibes in some ways, you know, of like Max, that relationship and like the friendship that they have, the depth of that friendship, and like the love that they have for each other. Like, they are just each other's person, you know? And watching Max hide so much of herself from Clance for so long, you know? And like, just having that part of her be so secret and so hidden because she's just so afraid, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I also forget, Clance knows by the end. Because, yeah, I do feel like it is, like, she still gives, like, very straight ally vibes, right? Because it is, like, but she's like, oh, you're going to get a husband, and, like, we're going to be together, and whatever, right? And then it's, like, by the end, she's like, okay, like, you go do your thing. You live your life. I'm happy for you. But I'm also, like, I don't know, Clance is just the shit. Like, I love their relation. And I just love the fact that we have...
I love Clance so much.
I just like the fact that we do have so many intimate platonic relationships.
Yeah.
Throughout this whole story. And that's why I was like, I know we start with the romance, because it's like what we talk about, but the friendship, like the fact that by the end, Clance is like dropping Max off, and Max is like, thank you, like, you were the one who got me here. right? Like, this friendship is how I got to live my dreams. Like, Clance came with her to the freaking first tryout.
Audition, Ellie. It's called an
I know I
audition.
was gonna say audition, and I stopped myself. But Clance was there from the beginning. And then I guess I wish we got a season freaking 2, because then there's an interesting flip where Max had been hiding stuff from Clance, and now Clance is hiding things from Max.
I cannot believe we're never gonna see Clance's pregnancy play out. What happens to Guy? I'm dying inside.
I know.
I can't.
Maybe
I can't do it.
you know what? Maybe this episode is gonna move the needle. Tomorrow we're gonna wake up and they're gonna be like, "Just kidding. It was a sick joke. We're making a new season of A League of Their Own."
Wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be nice. Okay, sorry. What else do we want to talk about with Clance and Max?
God, I can't. I don't know how. We don't have enough time.
We
to
don't
talk
have enough
about
time.
All of the things that I want to talk about.
Also, just shout out to Clance's comic books.
Shout out to Clance for literally everything.
Mhm.
She's just such.
She's
so
such a good character.
She's such a good character. But I think maybe what I'll do is I'll say what you were just saying about like the number of platonic relationships that we have. Can we use that to bounce ourselves to both Joe and Greta and Lupe and Jess?
Yes. So first of all, I'm obsessed with Joe and Greta's relationship because to me, it's like the depth to which these two queer people have like gone through their lives together to keep each other safe. Like, they've known each other since they were children.
Yeah.
Is like the second you meet them, you know there's history there, right? So I feel like it's like we just never get like these established gays who have been gay together for years. Like, Joe looks at Greta and you see like everything Greta has ever done in her life in Joe's eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like, just to know that we have these two characters with so much history is so affirming as a queer person, like with other queer friends, you know?
Yeah, and because it's interesting, because it's like when you think about the show too, like I feel like Max and Clance are like, they stand out so much to me, but I feel like it provides this interesting contrast to be like, you're seeing the effect of Max keeping this secret, like keeping her queerness a secret, compared to Joe and Greta, who like are so linked by sharing that, you know, and knowing that they can count on each other, knowing that they're each other's like ride or die through all of this stuff. And it's like, and so you get this, like, that contrast is so interesting to see too, because it's like you want Max to tell her, you know. You're like, you have to tell her because you're such good friends, like you have to. And it's like it's because you're watching the two possibilities, you know, of like that friendship with another queer person and that friendship with a straight person who you expect is going to not be okay with that. And it's like eating away at you the whole show, you know, that Clance doesn't know.
Especially when you see like Max, like it's very soon. It's like episode maybe 2 where she has sex with that older woman, right?
Yeah.
And there's also like a common theme for Max too, like where I feel like her whole thing is like, everyone always wants me to be something other than what I am.
Yeah.
Like, everyone has an idea of what they want me to be, and like I am not that. But like I sort of play into it because I'm like, fine, I'll be what you want me to be for now. And I feel like that's like the thread of like, by the end, she's like, cut off all my hair, wearing this freaking vest suit thing, dating a woman, like living my best life, playing baseball, like everything she wants to do, she's doing by the end. Right? So it's like, it's that storyline of that, and then wrap that up with her relationship with Clance, where it's like, as she's becoming more and more herself, like her and Clance get closer, but then also Clance is like, but Clance is such a good friend. She doesn't want Max to be what she wants her to be, right? She lies to her because she's like, I want you to be exactly who you are. And I don't want I don't want to hold you back. There's a car, yeah. Did you hear it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she's like, I want you to be exactly who you are, and I want you to live your dreams, and like, I'm not going to hold you back from being that. Like, I feel like Clance is the only person in Max's life who actually doesn't really ask her to be anyone besides who she is.
Yeah.
So, of course, you're like, please tell her who you really are so she can fully accept you. Yeah. But yeah, Joe and Greta, beautiful. And then, I mean, too, but we have all this conflict, right? Because you also have these platonic best friends who, like, one of them's like, oh, now you're dating someone and I have to deal with that. Like,
and I got arrested.
yeah, and I got arrested and you weren't there.
Right.
Right. And like, that's also a common, I think it's just a common story in general, right? Where you're like, my best friend started dating someone and now I'm not the most important person in their life. I have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it lends itself to so many different stories, right? And then we have it wrap all the way around at the end where they're like, now Greta and her lover are like, we're gonna help you walk across home
We're gonna
plate.
carry you around the bases.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say about Joe and Greta?
Oh, God. I think it's just so nice to see. And like Joe and Greta, again, just one example in this show, but like, because I want to talk about Lupe and Jess real quick too. But I just feel like there's something that is so nice about, like, it's the same thing we've said when you're watching like Bottoms or when you're watching like Booksmart, you know, just like sometimes having the awareness that like all queer people do not all always want to fuck each other, like, is so important, you know? Like, I love you so much, Ellie. We will never be anything but a platonic duo, and like I love that
Lee,
for us, and that's so important.
I've been pining over you for 7 years.
I'm so sorry.
You just broke my heart.
Yeah, it had to come clean.
Listeners,
you know?
this is the first time I've ever heard this from her, and I just like really wasn't expecting it, you know? I don't know. I thought we were on the same page.
What do you mean never?
Yeah, what do you mean never? We're wearing the same shirt right now.
We are such twinsies right now. This is how we're best friends, Ellie. This is us.
We're same shirt besties. No, but I mean, I agree. Like, platonic.
Except I would never leave you behind in that bar.
Thank you. That's
fireman carry on my shoulders running out of the bar with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to say one other thing about Joe, which is just more about the like the breadth, what do I want to say? Do you know what I'm saying? The amount of queer rep we get for different like femme, butch, blah blah, blah, whatever.
Yes.
There's this one scene in the bar that I just love where this woman is like hardcore flirting with Joe. And she's like, you're the most beautiful person I've ever seen. And you can just see Joe like being like, I don't know if like anyone's ever said that to her before. Right?
And we all sob.
And it was so like, it melts your freaking heart.
Yeah. It's a whole lot.
But I think that's also so important for us to see like every single like physical type of a queer person. I mean, you can't throw all of them in there, but they try to do a significant amount, right?
They do a significant amount. Well, and it's like not just watching Joe, because Joe is like one flavor of butch, especially at the time. But then watching like how much Lupe and Jess pull in that bar, and like
so hard.
they are their own whole other category of like kind of masc butch energy, you know, that is just I love them. I love their bromance. Like, again, I just love them sort of like seeing and finding each other and being like, oh, like, yeah, bro. Like, here we go. Let's go.
And they're literally talking to Carson.
Let's
they're
go
like,
get some.
They're like, yeah, we've been fucking girls every city we go to.
Yes.
And she's like, what the fuck?
Of course they have been. Of course those two have
They
been.
were like,
how could they not?
Just this week? Like, what are you asking? She's like, how many women have you been with? And they're like,
yeah.
Twins. Like, it's just gay bro chaos. And it's amazing.
And I love it. I love it for them. But I just like, it's such a different friendship dynamic than the one that like Joe and Greta have, you know? It's like that's such a different they're like, we're wingmen. Like, that's
Mhm.
here's what we do. We're wingmen, you know? And
Mhm.
you're like, I fucking love it because you just know, those two at that time on this team, they would have been just fucking
Swimming.
drowning in puss,
Mhm.
man. I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
Yep.
Like,
I was not
they-
expecting you to say drowning in puss, but yes. That phrase is accurate.
But it's so accurate.
Mhm.
It's so accurate. I'm not sure what I thought was going to come out of my mouth either, but that's what did. Okay? So there you go.
Oh, man. There's so much.
There's so much. There's so much, Ellie. I want to talk about one other thing only because it's occurring to me while we were talking about Birdie and we didn't talk about it, and I feel like we should talk about it real quick only because I know every now and then you know how the youth love to have their discourses and stuff, right? I don't remember when the last time I saw it come up was, but it's like, every now and then you see this discourse where people are like, oh my God, can there be like male lesbians, someone identified as a male lesbian, and I'm up in arms about it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, look at Birdie. That's a male
Mhm.
lesbian. Like, if you need an example of what that looks like,
There it is.
there it is. There it is. Like, that's Uncle Bertie, who is clearly in a lesbian relationship with his wife.
Oh, 10,000%, yes.
And like, that's it. That's it. That's what it looks like. So like,
Mhm.
if Birdie wanted, like, you're telling me Uncle Bertie walked up and was like, I'm a male lesbian, you're gonna be like, no, you're not. Yes, he
Yes.
fucking is. Good for him. Great. Anyways, that's all. I just think it's important to be like, representation matters, because like, how could anyone argue with that? How could anyone argue? You're gonna tell me that that's a straight relationship?
They can't.
Incorrect.
And they will.
Incorrect.
Cue the argument all over our social media.
Yeah, come for us. Fight me on it, okay? Fight me. Fight me. I look forward to it. I've been dealing with Facebook boomers about V for Vendetta, okay? I promise I can handle this discourse. Let's do it.
But I mean, we've been waiting for a long time to talk about this series. I think, like, I truly believe this is a perfect show. Like, I would not change one thing about anything that transpires. Like, I think they just absolutely nailed it. Like, this will go down in history as one of the best pieces of queer media to ever exist.
I agree. Honestly, I think it's gonna stand up. I think they did so many things that would have been so easy to do badly so well. Like, I think just the overall framing of the show, the watching the tracks of Carson's and Max's stories, the connections that they use between them as tools to communicate so many things, the ways in which they avoid the sort of like white saviorism of like Carson being there to like pick Max up. I'm like, no, like, Max makes her own fucking way, man. Like, and honestly, I think Max possibly gets farther than Carson does,
Yeah.
because she's like,
She's
yeah,
literally
I'm gonna go
playing-
off with
she's
my
also
girlfriend,
playing
we're
with
gonna play on a
men.
team. Like, right. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there are so many things about, like, I know we talked when we had Lee on the episode, like, we talked a lot too about the whole episode with the raid on the bar and like what it meant to have like the black queer joy, white queer joy, and like that sense of impending doom, and have it not constantly be like, oh, well, and obviously everything was worse for black people back then, so like, I guess they get raided. You're like, no, like, it just, I think that there are just so many things that they do, and like the way that they use these relationships, the ways that they are able to tell so many stories, and just like so many different people, and so many like, we haven't even talked about Bev. We haven't even like,
I know, the fact that at the freaking end, Bev says we have to look after our own and winks. You're gonna also make Bev gay? Really?
yes, of course they are. Of course they are.
It
Look
was
at her.
it was amazing.
Look at
No,
her.
it was like, but it was just like you're going through the series, you're like, everyone's gay, and then when Bev said that, I was like, of course.
Yeah.
Of freaking course.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of
She's
course.
she's from the Marines. Like, I feel like, honestly, that freaking woman who offers Greta a job, gay. She says, I have all the money in the world. I have a young husband and he's well kept and I get to do whatever the fuck I want. If that is not she paid for a beard, I do not know what is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
For
she said, I
sure.
love women who are a little too much. What? Every part of this, like, it exceeded my wildest gay
I
dreams.
have 3 words for you about that woman, Ellie. Drowning in puss.
Slap it on a shirt.
Get your very own Drowning in Puss
shirt.
From Lez Hang Out.
Honestly, not a bad idea. But yes, like queer. And just everything I want, everything I ever want in a series. I'm honestly going to probably rewatch it again.
I feel like it was a hate crime. It was a hate crime when they were like, oh, we're only going to give you 4 more episodes. And everyone was like, I cannot believe this. And then to just rip even that away was so
devastating.
So rough. I'm still mad about it. I will always be mad about it. But, you know, I agree. I think this holds up. I think it's gonna remain on top lists for years and years and years to come because it's just it's just a really well done show.
One thing I was thinking about from like a silver lining standpoint of things, I'm like, as much as it is so messed up that they canceled it, it's like I sort of just have to like look at it like it's a mini series because it does sort of like when you finish it, it wraps up enough. But it
doesn't.
No, it doesn't. But it does. Like,
stop trying to make this better, Ellie. It's not
I'm
better.
just saying. I know it's horrible, but like
it is long.
It is longer than the original movie.
I think
it is 8 hours longer than the original movie, right?
Yes. In terms of
6
like,
hours.
I still sometimes try to talk people into watching Teenage Bounty Hunters, and I'm like, you're gonna hate me at the end because of how like you can't. It just lands, on this, like,
Teenage Bounty Hunters is like way worse.
I'm like, I feel like you could tell someone like, watch this. There's only 1 season, but it's still like enough. I get what you mean. Like,
it tells a
story.
story.
Gets wrapped up that
it tells a
like,
full story. Yes. Like, there's so much to dig into clearly because we're like diving so hard into it, right? Like. It gives us more than a movie. We get 8 hours of content. We have so much depth of character. So I'm like, I'm just going to keep rewatching it like I would rewatch anything else, right? Like that's my solution as much as fuck Amazon. But that's all.
Fuck Amazon, man. There it is.
Mm-hmm. All right. You ready for our Q and Gaily?
I'm ready.
Q and Gay.
Question number 1. What is your sport? A, baseball, B, soccer, C, field hockey, or D, tennis?
Well, listen, I tried to pick like all the gayest ones and then tacked on tennis because that is my
That's
sport.
your sport. Yeah.
So I'm going to go with tennis.
Mine is basketball, which is also not on there.
That's true. I should have put that instead.
Mine is...
But too late.
Jazz hands.
Mine is auditions.
Yes.
Question 2, Ellie. What are your favorite types of queer relationships in the show? A, romantic, B, platonic, or C, queer elders?
That is such a hard question. I think I'm going to go with B, platonic. I love a good queer friendship. I really do.
They have so many good ones.
Mm-hmm. All right, question number 3. What scene makes you cry the hardest in the show? A, Max's suit, B, Joe is beautiful, C, train station, or D, Lupe and Esty?
Okay, look, we all know that I am cold and dead inside and I don't actually cry at shows, but I think if I had to pick out of these, that Joe getting told she's beautiful scene just like
really gets to you,
your heart out. Like
it hits your cold gay heart.
It does hit my cold gay heart. I don't know. There's just some like she's just glowing, and she is beautiful. She's so fucking beautiful, and it's just like, I love it so much because again, it is like it's just. Moments that have so much in them, and I'm like, that moment being just this very clear thing of like, yes, Joe is fucking gorgeous, and queer people do not exist to be consumed by straight men's gaze, and that's it, and that's okay, and that's fucking great for us, and like, and it just anyways, that's my answer. It's B.
Great answer. 10 years later.
Question 4, Ellie. I'm sure a popular question. Who's the worst guy in the show? Out of certainly not Guy, because Guy's great. Other than Guy, who's the worst guy in the show? A, Charlie, B, Dove, C, the vet from the date, or D, Gary?
This is such a hard one. I feel like Dove is most obviously shitty, but I have to say Gary. I just hate. I feel like he was so like entitled.
Yes, and
in like
underhanded about it.
Yeah, in like a weird like I'm a nice guy kind of way that like it's so sinister. So it's D Gary to me.
Good answer. Good answer.
Mm-hmm. All right, Lee. What's the best gay line in the show? A. Friends can mean a lot of things. B. Safe isn't safe. C. We are all fucking fruit. D. Rob the bank. Or E. My personal favorite. Drowning in puss. Writing.
Such a good line. Such a good
From
line.
the show.
I really don't know why that didn't feature more prominently in the
I don't know why.
God, they're all so good. That's so hard. I feel like I'm so torn between like Safe Isn't Safe and Rob the Bank because they're both so good and for such like completely wildly opposite reasons, you know? I'm gonna say Rob the Bank.
I also just love that, like the whole concept of the show being like, no matter how long this lasts,
yes,
we're gonna take everything we can out of it. Like I feel like just like gives it such a like once in a life. And God, it also it comes back around to it being fucking canceled because we robbed the bank. This is only gonna last for a season, so we better fucking make the best of it. And they did.
And they did.
They really did.
Okay. It's Rob the Bank. That's the answer.
Remember, you can give us your own answers to the episode's Q&A questions on our Twitter at Lez Hang Out Pod. And before we wrap up, for every Lez-ssentials episode, we are doing our drinking game rules. So here we go. Reminder.
Drink responsibly.
Yes, thank you, Lee. Drink responsibly. And make sure you tell us all about it. All right. Number 1, anytime Greta and Carson kiss. Number 2, anytime you get the pitched ball point of view. 3, anytime Jess gets fined for wearing pants. 4, anytime Tony talks about Max taking over the salon, rip your heart out. 5, anytime they say rob the bank, our favorite line. 6, anytime they talk about the rules.
So many
7,
rules.
anytime Max has an older woman fetish. We love it for you, Max. And 8, anytime Clance talks about Wonder Woman.
I love it. I love Clance. I just love Clance so much.
I know. And remember, stick around for our original song based on A League of Their Own. Baseball diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 well, yeah.
We love hearing from all of you. We love continuing to build this community, and we just want to shout out some of our favorite things every episode. First of all, listen, I know we were late getting to Hawkeye, as we mentioned when we recorded it, but we just love that people were very excited. We saw a lot of comments where people were like, finally, I've been waiting so long. I died 4 lifetimes waiting for this episode to come out. You know, I might be making some of these up, but we're happy that we got there in the end.
We finally made it, everyone.
Thanks for waiting for us, y'all. You know, it means a lot.
Also, like to give a shout out to Stacia, who sent us an Instagram post about the gayest moment in sports history. Dewana Bonner passed her ex-wife on the WNBA scoring list on an assist from her fiance, and I agree. That is some gay shit right there. WNBA
Extremely
being
gay.
so gay. So thank you for sharing that with us, Stacia. We got a good kick out of that.
We, as always, want to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Mark Foster,
Lizette Stye,
Adi Benitez,
Sophia Phillips,
and Armani Gucci.
And our King Princess patrons, Amy and Ellen.
And Andrea Doucette. Thank you all so much. We could not keep doing this podcast without the support of all of our patrons.
Remember, you can also find us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at Lez Hang Out Pod.
You can email us at lezhangoutpod@gmail.com.
You can check out our website at lezhangoutpod.com.
Whatever app you use to listen to podcasts, make sure that you subscribe. That way you'll get new episodes as soon as they go up every week.
We're also posting videos on our YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/lezhangoutpod to catch them.
Let's Hang Out is an independently produced show. It's hosted by us. Our audio production is done by Ellie. Our production assistant is Krista Murison. And various other podcasting shenanigans are done by me.
If you want to support the podcast, the easiest thing to do is rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We love hearing what you have to say.
If you want to join our Patreon, you get access to ad-free episodes, access to all of our bonus Patreon less extracurricular episodes, there's more than 20 of them up now. You get access to all of those. You get access to our Discord chat, so much good stuff. You can join at bit.ly/lespatreon.
And if you want to get some merch from our merch store, you can get that at bit.ly/lezshop. We have all kinds of queer designs. They are great for Pride, but also great for, you know what? Pride is all year round, everyone. You better tell everyone you're a big old Les with the word Les and a rainbow on your shirt. And you can get that at bit.ly/lezshop.
Also, we want to announce, many of you know if you've been following us for a while, all of our merch has been on our TeePublic store. We are going to be switching over to a new storefront option. And so you'll actually be able to get all of our designs now. We're going to be moving them over to our website at lezhangoutpod.com. So if you want to start heading over there, we're going to have a new shop section. We're going to have some new options of some items that people have been asking about for a long time. And so we're going to be starting to sort of migrate most of our designs over to there. So if you want to check that out, make sure that you head to our website, lezhangoutpod.com, and you can check out our shop on our website and see what things start popping up there. We're going to have a couple new surprises.
And remember, we also have a queer production company making queer podcast musicals with guaranteed happy endings that you can find everywhere at $beanprod.
You can also check out our website, dollarbeanproductions.com.
You can listen to all of the episodes of our first show, The Flame, on any podcasting app.
And you can check out all of the episodes of our second show, Journey to the Heart. The first path is already done. The second path through the story is going to be coming out for Pride Month on June 3rd.
And if you want to help support us in making more musicals, you can join our Patreon at bit.ly/dollarbeanpatreon.
If you want to follow us individually, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at LSHFoster.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Ellie Brigida. With that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee. And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
Never really wanted the life that everybody had. Hard to keep it going. The smile painted on my mask. Now you got me running. You know I'm never looking back. 'Cause all the things she said. Strike one. The voice inside my head. Strike two. You're pulling me to bed. Strike three. Guess I'm out. 'Cause if I hit a home run.
Buffet brawlers, glory holes gone wrong, cannibalistic castration cabins, public poopers? These are just a few of the crazy topics you'll hear covered on Excuse Me, That's Illegal, the pettiest podcast around. Whether you need a break from all that murdery true crime stuff, or just enjoy hearing hilarious stories told in a unique way, I got what you need. I'm Leroy Luna, your fearless host/chauffeur. So come hop in my minivan and let's go for a ride. I promise you probably won't be disappointed. Excuse Me, That's Illegal is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, basically everywhere you consume podcasts, with new episodes dropping on the 10th, 20th, and 30th of the month, baby!